Welcome back to the Kramenka Industries 2082 Strategic Procurement Expo, where peace is what we sell and pieces are what we deliver. Last time we talked about our aircraft, the tools to spread your message of friendship to all corners of the world. Today, we'll talk about the very language that message is written in, weapons. We understand that we serve a diverse array of customers with differing budgets and objectives, so we'll start with our simplest and cheapest armaments and work our way up to our most formidable. For the sake of argument, we'll also stage this in a scenario where you, a plucky little nation state, are having some disagreements with your economically superior foe. Whatever the cause, it's time to go make some friends. So without further ado, let's talk about how to do that. First, let's meet the PABs, simple gravity bombs, the easiest and most affordable option for the budget-conscious consumer. They come in three flavors, the 80LR, the 125, and the 250. Kramenka engineers added transmitters and an optical guidance system to all of our gravity bombs, allowing them to track and hit targets even if dropped from unfavorable angles. You only need to select your desired target, aim in the general vicinity of the target, and the bomb's targeting system will do the rest for you. The PABs can be loaded onto almost any airframe and then dropped onto targets from altitudes of 10 meters or 10 kilometers. No expensive doodads, just affordable firepower to get the job done. Armored vehicles, tanks, and small buildings will crumple when struck by even a single one of these bad boys. The 80LR carries a smaller warhead, trading punch for fold-out wings, allowing it to glide out to a target far beyond the traditional launch angle of a regular gravity bomb. In many cases, it's better than a missile of similar size, thanks to its small radar cross-section and no IR signature. Its optical tracker can keep tabs on moving targets, allowing you to use it as a tank buster. The PABs are cheap, light, and they're kind of adorable. They'll load up too many and your plane will handle like a semi-truck during a hydraulic failure. Be careful not to get carried away and pack too many PABs for the mission objective at hand. But what if the target is heavily armored, like missile silos, tank columns, aircraft carriers, or suspiciously well-funded scientific facilities? Well, then our GPO series is right for you. These bombs are less cute, packing a significantly larger punch, yet still almost as cheap as the PAB series. The GPO 500 drops half a ton of discouragement on ships, airfields, and anything that once had structural integrity. A tandem charge warhead renders all but the most sophisticated armor plating useless. The Auger is your bunker buster, and it's so heavy that we recommend only bringing a scarce few per plane. The Auger's kinetic impactor tip can pierce straight through aircraft carrier decks or reach far below many meters of rock or concrete, perfect for hardened targets like enrichment facilities or capital ships. Then there's the GPO Peace Treaty, affectionately known as a demo bomb. This is when you want to send a very harsh message but still want to be invited to global leader summits for drinks and networking. It's an 11-ton thermobaric explosive, as subtle as a tactical nuclear bomb, but with none of the fallout. Perfect for cleaning up crowds, convoys, city blocks, or insurgent camps. With zero fissile material used in its construction and a biodegradable shell, this bomb complies with most standard ordnance regulations worldwide, despite its large size. Admittedly, it's not great for hardened targets, that's what the Auger is for, but I promise you, as the name implies, the Peace Treaty will bring whatever's left of your adversary straight to your table very quickly after a single use. But sometimes, you don't need the biggest boom, just a reliable, safe way to ruin someone's afternoon. Perhaps your target is guarded by enemy air defenses and you'd prefer not to risk your pilot's lives. Our rocket pod line is just for you, allowing you to hit targets at decent range and be home in time for lunch. They're laser guided, compatible with buddy lasing, and of course, don't care about jamming or flares at all. We intended for you to fire them at ground targets, but thanks to their high speed, don't be afraid to take pot shots at pesky choppers or dropships in the AO. You might just score a lucky hit. The Linchpin is a short-range 70mm rocket with a 3kg armor-piercing high-explosive tip, designed for smacking lightly armored vehicles, convoys, or those pesky infantry trying to hide behind their jeeps. Aside from the chicane, you usually get 7 rockets per pod, so you can field these in extremely large numbers where needed. The Kingpin is a mid-range 130mm rocket, carried in pods of 4, but each rocket with a bit more conviction behind it. Great for moderately armored targets like tanks, smaller structures, or even warships if you're feeling bold. Just remember that all of these weapons are laser designated, so acquire and fire, designate and eliminate. It's that easy. But sometimes it's not that easy. Perhaps you can't maintain the lock because you need to focus on other objectives, or perhaps the target isn't compliant with your rocket barrage. That's alright, our AGM line has you covered. AGM refers to the specific use cases of this series, air to ground or maritime. Great for both distant ground targets and warships alike, with optical guidance systems that maximize hit probability. The AGM-48 is your anti-vehicle guided missile. Think of it as precise and polite. A volley of 2 takes out a main battle tank, and a full salvo can severely cripple mid-sized warships. It's fast and reliable, yet light and cheap enough to field in generous quantities. Some pilots even fire them against enemy aircraft as a distraction, as it makes the pilot's HUD scream with missile warnings while in flight. And who knows, it might score a lucky hit, especially against slow-flying aircraft. The AGM-68 is our heavy anti-surface missile, equipped with the same tandem charge warhead that you see on the GPO-500. One of these will flatten any ground target that isn't buried under a mountain, and hostile warship crews know that a few hits in quick succession, or even a single lucky hit to a VLS cell, means they're going for a brief flight, followed by a swim to cool off. The avionics package is programmed with a complementary weave terminal maneuver to dodge point defense fire, because style is a quality all on its own. Finally, while the AGM-99 can be fired against ground targets, we designed for it to be a pocket-sized capital ship killer. It crawls in low across the waves, disappearing from radar, and then it pops up and drops straight onto a target in a brutal top attack pattern. It's slow and relatively easy to intercept, but when it hits, it can split ships down their center line like a hot knife through whipped cream. And with that, you've hit all the enemy surface targets with missiles and bombs. Great job! But oh no! You've attracted the attention of enemy aircraft. Not to worry, our air-to-air line is your reliable, go-to solution, and we've got your back. So first, let's talk about our affordable heat-seeking missiles. We'll start with our signature MMR S3. Boasting a 15-kilometer range, great agility, and a proximity fragmentation warhead, the S3 was born for offensive and defensive action alike. Perfect for chasing down retreating fighters flying with afterburners on, or sweeping the skies clean of enemy aircraft. Think of the S3 like a modern flechette rifle used by infantry. It might start the fight, it might not, but regardless, it will finish it. As the enemy draws closer, the IRM S2 brings the heat to close quarters engagements. With the range of 10 kilometers, the S2's smaller warhead gives it added agility, while still deadly enough to keep most enemies sweating bullets. The S2 is also compact enough to carry in bulk, even inside of payload bays, allowing stealth aircraft to easily maintain their small radar cross-section without compromising firepower. Fire one off at contact range, and think of it as a friendly way to say, "I see you, leave." Fire one off at point blank, and the target won't be able to leave anymore. Finally, the IRM S1 is your last line of defense, built exclusively to fit on smaller aircraft like helicopters or dropships. With only a 5-kilometer range and a tiny warhead, it's barely more threatening than a stern warning. It's great for scaring off drones or careless interceptor flybys, but don't expect fireworks. However, the guidance system and control services are smart enough to target enemy missiles, meaning you can use the S1 as both a missile or an anti-missile. Great for splashing salvos of incoming enemy cruise missiles, or even incoming air-to-air missiles, if you're lucky. Now let's talk longer range ordnance. If heat seekers are like standard combat rifles, radar-guided missiles are more like dedicated marksman rifles, designed to take out enemies from very far away, or work in conjunction with heat-seeking missiles to win the day as a team. Be aware that the technology involved with these is significantly more expensive than our heat seekers line, so please consider your price range before large-scale procurement. Without further ado, let's talk about the Scythe, your tried and true mid-range option. The Scythe is about as subtle as a class action lawsuit. With the range of up to 40 kilometers, the Scythe gives no lock time and no second chances to the enemy. The pilot will only hear a radar lock warning before hearing nothing at all. Fire them in conjunction with heat seekers to give your enemy a nasty split-second notch or flare dilemma. A reliable tool at short, medium, and long range alike. The Scimitar is a brand new design, and we're still playing around with its functionality, the premium choice for BVR engagements. It's powered by the same ramjet engine used on our satellite launch SSTOs, taking around 20 seconds to reach a top speed of Mach 4, with an effective range of 100 kilometers. Mach 4 is over 1.3 kilometers per second, giving the enemy pilot extremely limited wiggle room once a lock is detected. But there's a major catch. Consider that over the 20 seconds the engine takes to ramp up to Mach 4, the Scimitar will cover almost 15 kilometers while flying slower than the appropriate aircraft killing speed. So, for best results with the Scimitar, make sure to fire when the target is an absolute minimum of 15 kilometers away. Unless, of course, he's running away from you like the coward he is. You might be able to fire and forget, but the enemy sure as hell won't. Alright, so we know that missiles win battles, but what wins entire wars? The answer is information. Oh no! You've dropped the bombs, shot down some jets, but now the bad guys know where we are and they've sent reinforcements. But from where? No worries, a Kramenka Industries Medusa is on station, and its all-powerful array of ELINT and E-War systems are yours to command. The EW-25A Radome picked up the enemy reinforcements at over 100 kilometers away, and all of the cute little missiles they've launched at us. Now they're glowing bright red on our HUD, and we have plenty of time to react. Of course, seeing the enemy is only half the fun. Stopping them from seeing you is where things get interesting. The EW's 25B radar jammer fries enemy radars, comms, data link chatter, all goes dead, rendering the enemy blind, deaf, and scared. Enemy radar-guided missiles will veer off, blinded by the radiation output from your jamming pods. But there's still the problem of those heat seekers headed for you, and those optically guided missiles headed straight for the nearby good guys. And that's when we bring out a party trick. The 120 kilowatt solid-state laser weapon is your last line of defense against enemy missiles. Acquire and fire, and watch the green intercepted symbols pop up on your HUD just like a video game. Nothing says modern warfare like burning a hole through steel with good old-fashioned coherent light. Friendly warning, please don't look directly into the beam, it won't fix your bad vision. Okay, now we're safe, but we're not gonna let that little stunt of theirs go unanswered, are we? So let's talk about some strategic response options. We'll hit the enemy where they live, literally. Be advised, each and every weapon from here on out is extremely expensive. When distance, precision, and decisive impact are the priorities, our long-range missile family is what you'll want in your arsenal. The ARAD-116 is our anti-radiation missile, engineered to neutralize hostile radar emitters long before they can threaten the rest of your strike package. A high top speed minimizes the target's reaction window, ensuring a high probability of a mission kill. Now that they're blind, let's follow up with an ALM-C450, a cost-effective subsonic cruise missile carrying an exceptionally large payload, following a low-altitude terrain-skimming route to evade radar detection while delivering devastating effects against fixed high-value targets, such as runways, command centers, and logistics hubs. The ASHM-300 is your supersonic anti-ship solution, designed for saturation strikes. Swarm coordination software was integrated directly into the avionics package, allowing multiple missiles to synchronize time-on-target strikes for overwhelming point defenses. Finally, the Tusco B is our latest high-velocity quasi-ballistic strike missile, which combines a heavy payload with extreme speed, capable of either lofting into high atmo for long-range attacks or diving directly onto targets at closer ranges. Great for piercing the thick point defenses of enemy warships and large installations alike. This concludes our conventional ordnance lineup for today, but before we get into our last set of weapons, we would like to remind you to take the following measures for safe and responsible use. Ensure that the dialed yield matches the objective. Do not look directly into the detonation, do not attempt to outrun the blast wave unless in an emergency, keep out of reach of children under 7, and most importantly, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds after each use. Remember, nuclear safety begins with you. Now let's get into the fun stuff. The GPON Dial-A-Yield is a unique variant of the GPO, laced with the variable yield nuclear bomb, allowing you to pick between 1.5 kilotons of bunker busting power or 250 kilotons of fun. Bunker buster mode scrams the second stage, making it light enough to parachute in, even just from 300 meters. Perfect for very close range problem solving. Switch it to full yield metroplex buster mode, and I promise you, whatever disagreements you have with the world at large will be immediately and wordlessly settled. Think of the times you wanted to send a personal letter of complaint from 100 kilometers away. This is why we developed the air-launched nuclear deterrent. It's a 20 kiloton, optically guided, slow enough to shoot down but fast enough to ruin someone's day missile. Exclusively carried by our SFB-81 Dark Reach, it's best launched with little friends to mask it, so try mixing it with swarms of ALM C-450s to saturate enemy point defenses. They might stop some, but with good positioning, a little bit of E-War, and a little bit of luck, they won't stop all. And finally, the all-new Pile Driver Tactical Ballistic Missile. Also 20 kilotons, but traveling at Mach 4, right at the edge of space. Fired in salvos of up to 8 from a Dark Reach, each one with an individual target reference point to drop onto. All of this from the safety of your own borders. In one strike, a Dark Reach can reduce an entire nation-state, rogue army, or particularly annoying insurgent group to rubble, even if they're positioned in distant, hard-to-reach areas, by simply erasing the parts of the map where they're used to operate out of. For the budget-conscious consumer, we also produce these in conventional warhead configuration, in order to mask a limited number of nuclear-tipped pile drivers. Cheaper, yet just as effective. Please speak to a consultant at our gift shop to learn which option is right for you. And with that, you've won the war and brought a lasting peace to your turbulent region. Congratulations. Victory is never easy, but thanks to your choices, you now boldly stand on the winning side of history. Again, a huge thank you to Emily from Kramenka Good Guys for flying every sortie and demonstrating each of the weapon systems on display today. Rest assured, the targets in her crosshairs all stood as enemies of peace, and thanks to her efforts, now those bad guys don't stand at all. At Kramenka Industries, we believe peace is not spoken in words, but rather written in strength, and all of our products are reflections of these core values. So if you're a good guy, you can sleep well both tonight and forever, knowing that your friends at Kramenka will always be here when the time comes to help write your piece in our language of power. Enjoy the expo.